Hi, my name is Romi, and today I'd like to do a really short video on mindfulness meditation. Not the meditation, but actually what does it mean to practice mindfulness and practice mindfulness meditation. So whilst I do agree that all types of meditation are good for you, I'd like to explain why I like to practice mindfulness meditation and what that actually means. Mindfulness has been a bit of a buzzword for quite a while now, but it's good to come back to its roots and understand what that means. So whether it's in today's crazy world in 2020 of what's going on with coronavirus or your normal day-to-day existence. So mindfulness meditation and mindfulness practice is fantastic for a busy mind, stress, anxiety, depression, just calming down the chaos. So I want to explain what mindfulness meditation is. So in many different types of meditation, we hear phrases like calm your mind, empty your mind, clear your mind. What I love about mindfulness meditation is that we don't use that language. And whilst that works for some people, it didn't work for me. Because in human nature, when someone tells you to calm down or clear your mind, it has the opposite effect. It makes you feel stressed that you can't do that. So first, what I love about mindfulness meditation is that it's all about being completely okay with where you're at. It's about being present and being okay, so no judgment whatsoever. So that's the first thing I love about it. We do use the 5 senses when we're talking about mindfulness meditation. Why I love using the 5 senses, because as an author, that's how we also use writing techniques. So different types of writing, we use the 5 senses to create memory, to create description. So for me, that's quite natural. So we're looking at what do we see, what do we smell, what do we hear, what do we taste, and what do we feel? So feel meaning touch, like feeling your body on the ground, but also what do we feel, emotions inside. Okay, so the 5 senses is what creates the presence. Okay, that's how we get mindful, present in the moment, which is great for things like depression, anxiety, busy, chaotic minds, where our mind is racing ahead. It actually brings us back to presence. So they're the first 2 things I love about it. But how does it work? Why mindfulness? What's happening in mindfulness and mindfulness meditation is we're actually using the prefrontal cortex, so that part of our mind. Now, we have a use it or lose it type of brain. When we stop using particular parts of our brain, we lose it. So we lose memory. That's why they often say to older people you should do Sudoku or crosswords or read a lot to keep using that part of your brain so that you can keep using it for longer and longer. So having a use it or lose it type of brain means we want to keep practicing using parts of our brain so that they have longevity and can be used often and intensely and for longer periods of time. So prefrontal cortex is a lot about focus, clarity. So what happens when we're busy? We lose focus, we lose clarity, we feel that chaotic kind of feeling. So we want to come back to clarity and focus, which is why mindfulness is a super one of those meditations that you used a lot in businesses and in corporate world now also, because it creates focus and clarity. So rather than say multitasking, coming back to unitasking, one thing at a time, focused, clear, and you actually are much more efficient. So the prefrontal cortex, how that works is every time we use it, which means every time we bring our mind back to presence, we are using that part of our brain. Okay, so if I'm sitting in meditation and my mind wanders off, I'm using the prefrontal cortex when I bring my mind back to this moment. So each time I bring my mind back, I'm exercising that part of my brain. So the exercise, which is mindfulness meditation, is what we're trying to do. So we don't just go and run a marathon, for example. We train so that we can run a marathon. And the more training we do, the easier the marathon is to run. So every time I practice mindfulness meditation, I'm practicing bringing my mind back, bringing my mind back, bringing my mind back without judgment. And each time I do that, I get better at it. I get more comfortable with it. It becomes more natural until it becomes part of how I practice. Now, once I achieve that, then doing the marathon is easy. So whether I'm working, reading, trying to focus, trying to be clear within just my thoughts, my emotions, clear within my work, because I've done the practice in how do I bring my mind back to here and now, I get much, much better at it. So this is the training for life. So the training is the mindfulness meditation, and life is being mindful. So how can I walk mindfully, work mindfully, be with my children mindfully, be with my partner mindfully, be with myself mindfully, which simply means having good self-awareness and being present. So it's not sort of some mumbo jumbo, how do I live a mindful life? How do I be present? How do I be in the here and now with myself, with my lover, with my children, with my friends, with my colleagues, in the office, at home? So the practice is the mindfulness meditation, and the practice is for life so that we can live a present and mindful life. So hopefully that explains mindfulness meditation, why we do it, why we practice mindfulness meditation, how we do it, which is using the 5 senses. It's all about coming back to the present moment. It's all about gaining focus and clarity and grounding. It's great for things like the anxiety and depression, but it's also great for day-to-day life, for clearing that chaos, for bringing yourself back from to. So whether it's the anxiety and the stress related to the coronavirus, to bring yourself back to a calm and present moment. Okay, so there is fear and chaos in the world, but we don't have to live in this state of fear and chaos and anxiety. We can actually come back to feeling calm and feeling present. So whether it's related to that or related to your normal day-to-day existence, this is a really, really beautiful practice. I have a bunch of mindfulness meditation practices in my YouTube channel, in SoundCloud, a bunch of different places in my social media, but this is why I love it, and hopefully I can get you to love it a little bit more too. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.